What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is the part 2 of this two-part series of building a travel user interface using Flutter. So if you didn't see the first video, go ahead and click the card above to go watch that. Or you could simply go to my GitHub and you can download the source code from here. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is remove this text widget here, and we're going to add the extended navbar up top here. So to do that, we can change this child here to a column. We'll pass in children as widgets. We'll format this up. And then inside of here, I'm going to define a new container. And this will have a child of a row. Again, with children widgets. And inside of this row is where we will place our two text widgets. So our first one will be for discover, and the second one will be for activities. So this is the basic layout of this. So now let's go ahead and style it. So first let's come up here to this main container, and let's give this a background color. So we'll say color, and we'll give this a black color, but let's do black 87, which will give it 87% opacity. There we go, a little darker. And then secondly, let's come into this inner container here, which is our row, and let's give this a color as well. We can give this a gray. So we'll say colors.gray. And we'll give this a darker gray, so we'll go 850. Now as you see, this row looks like it's simply an extension of the app bar. I'm going to give this container here a height. We're going to give this a height of 50.0. So now let's work on formatting these two text widgets. So we want one of them to be here and one to be here. And we want them to be spaced evenly. So we can do that in our row class here. So drop down right below the opening row widget, and we can use cross-axis alignment and main axis alignment. So first let's center them with cross-axis alignment, and then cross-axis alignment.center. Okay. And then next, let's use the main axis alignment to space them evenly. So we'll say main axis alignment and then space evenly. And this should, there we go, this should do that. Perfect. And then the last thing to do is style the actual text widgets. So for that, we can go inside our text widget and say style, and that's equal to a text style. And what we want to give it, we'll give it a color and a font size. So we'll say color is equal to colors.white, and we'll give it a font size of 16.0. Format that up with Option Shift F or Control Shift F on Mac, or on Windows, sorry. And there we go. So that looks pretty good. And we'll give those same styles to this one. There we go. Okay, so that looks really good now. So the next thing we want to do is build out this main part here. So for that, I'm not going to do that in this Explorer screen because this would get too much to handle. So I'm going to break this out into another widget. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come right before this closing list here. So right after this container. And I'm going to say main, and this will be a new class that we create. So let's go up here and import this. So we'll say import package :travel / this will be components, and we're going to name this simply main.dart. And this is not the same main.dart as this here. It's a different one, but we're putting it into this subfolder here, so we can name it the same. So let's go ahead and create that. We'll right-click on components, do new file, main.dart. Okay, so this, like I said, will be a class and it will extend a stateless widget because this is just about the UI. There's going to be no state handling here. So the first thing I want to do is import the material.dart. So we'll say package Flutter / material.dart. And then let's create a stateless widget. So for that we can say st and then tab on stateless widget. And we'll name this main, just like I said. Now back in the Explorer screen, there is no error. Okay, so inside of this class here, we are going to build out the layout for the cards. So let's start by defining a column. So instead of returning this container, let's return a column. And then we need the children widgets, just like that. Now inside of here, what we're going to do is we can structure in Dart and Flutter by using a mixture of rows and columns. So you'll notice we're going to put a row here, and then we're going to put another row here with 2 columns in it. Okay, so back inside of here, the first thing we want to do is declare a row. So there we go, row with children. And then after that, like I said, we need another row. And then inside of here, we have our 2 columns. So column 1 with children and column 2 with children. So that is our setup that we're going for. So now that we have this basic row and column structure, let me add some text widgets so you can kind of see how this looks over here. Then if you look over here, this is how it's structured, right? So we have this first text widget, and then we have the 2 beneath it and the 2 beneath that. So this is a column, and this is a column. And if I add some main axis alignment, you should be able to see that a little better. So if I go, we should be able to see, okay, so now it's centered. You can see kind of how that's going to look. So what I'm going to do now is format this up. There we go. And now what I want to do is start building the cards. We'll come back after the cards are built and format this up, this main.dart up a little more, but for now this is good. So like I said earlier, we're just going to make one card widget that will be placed in each of these locations that we want a card. And then we can pass in various things as parameters for that card. So you'll notice each of the cards have a text, they have a little text underneath that, and then they have an icon and a background image. So we can pass all of that in as a parameter and only build one card. So this is what I'm going to do. Inside of here, I'm going to say custom card. And this will be the widget that we build. There we go. Custom card. So let's go ahead and copy this. And I'm going to come up here and in components, new file. We're going to name this custom underscore card.dart. And here, let's first import our material.dart. And then now let's build our custom card. This will be a widget, naming it custom card. And just like that, that's all there is to it. And then we can return a card, just like that. And then let's just put a child of text for now. We'll say custom card, exclamation point, and then let's import that card up top. So import package travel / components / custom card.dart. Now there's no error, and there you go. We see the custom card coming through. So let's replace this for each one of these texts just like that. We'll format this up, and now this is looking a little nicer, and we have our custom cards coming through. So now you can kind of see how this layout's starting to look. We have this top row, we have this column in the second row, and eventually we're going to wrap these cards in containers, and we can define the width and the height, so we can make this card go all the way across and give it a height of whatever we want. We can do the same for these two. We can make these cards fill their half of the page and then give it a little height. So we'll worry about that after. For now, let's worry about just building the card. So let's remove this text child, and the first thing that I want to do is give this card a column. So everything in this card will be wrapped in this column widget, and will pass in as children. We can use, again, rows and columns to format this card. So we can use the cross-axis alignment and main axis alignment to align the text widgets and the icons how we'd like. So you'll notice that the icon is always in the upper left, and the text is always in the bottom left. So we can do that using rows and columns. So here's our first column, and for the children, what we want to do is pass in the icon and the text. So we'll say icon, and that is icons dot, and for now we'll just pass in a random icon. And this will get changed eventually, and will be passed in up here as a parameter. You'll see how that works. And then what we could do is pass in the text widgets here, both of them. But what I'm going to do is wrap this in a column. And this will give us more formatting features down the road. And then in here, I'm simply going to pass in two text widgets. So this will be text 1, and this will be text 2. And as you can see, it's coming through for each card. Okay, so next what I want to do is this column here. I want to wrap this in padding. So we can say refractor, wrap with padding. And we will give this edge insets.all, we're going to give it 24. Okay, there we go. And this looks like a lot now, but when the card is full width and full height, it will look better. And then what I'm going to do is drop down below this first column and give it a cross-axis alignment of start and a main axis alignment of space between. So with a cross-axis alignment, start, and that will bring it to the left, and then we can say main axis alignment, space between. Okay, and that doesn't do anything yet because the card is only filling up the amount of space that it has to. But when we add a width and a height, you'll see that work. Okay, so next what I want to do is right here in this second column, I want to give this a cross-axis alignment of start. There we go, and that moves this text to the left a little bit so it's now in line there. And that's all we need to do there. Let's give some padding between these two texts. So we'll give it a size box. Oops. And we'll just give this a height of 5.0, just want a little bit. Okay, there we go. So now you can see that everything is towards the left, and when we increase the height of this, these two text widgets will stay towards the bottom left, and this icon will stay at the top left. So let's see how that works. So we have this, which is all good, and we'll work on the text style in a little bit. Next, what I want to do is add the background image. So to do that, we can come up here to card. And what we're going to need to do is wrap this padding with a container. So refactor, wrap with container. And this will allow us to give it a decoration. And we can say box decoration. Now in here is where we can pass in images. So as you see, we have all these properties here. So the first one I want to do is actually a color. So this will be the gradient color that comes on top of the image. And we'll say this is equal to colors.purple, and we'll give this a tone of 400, just like that. Okay, so we see that change. Next, I want to give this a border radius. I want to say border radius dot circular, and then we'll give this 10.0. And this kind of curves the edges up top there. We'll worry about this white after. And then here is where we can do the image. So we can say image, and this will be equal to decoration image. Inside of here, it takes in an image. So this can be an asset image. And this just takes in the path to the image, so we'll leave this blank for now. And then it also takes in a color filter. And we can set this equal to color filter, dot mode. And in here, we can say colors dot black dot with opacity. We can pass in an opacity, so we'll say 0.5, comma, blend mode dot dst a top. When we format this up, this is what we get. Add some commas here. Okay, there we go. And you can't see any of this yet because we don't have an image. When we have an image, you'll be able to see that. And the final thing, we'll drop below here and we'll say fit is equal to, this will be box fit dot cover. Just like that, which will allow the image to cover the card. So let's go ahead and get some images. I'm going to go to unsplash.com, and this is where you can download high resolution images. So I'm going to search up nature. We'll go to landscape. I'm just going to download the first 5. And now we can drag those. Let's see. So we can go back to our project, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new folder called assets. Inside of here, I'm going to do a new folder called images, and inside of here I'm going to make a new folder called cards. And then we can drag and drop these images into there. Okay, so we don't need this anymore. And then what I want to do is rename all of these. So we'll just say 1.jpg, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, just like that. Let's get these out of here. And now what we can do is we can call and grab these images. But we need to do one thing first. We need to open up pubspec.yaml and scroll down here. And this is where it allows us to add images. So it says to add assets to your application, add an assets section like this. So let's uncomment all of this. And what we're going to do is do this. So we have our images stored assets / images / cards / and then our first one is 1.jpg. Let's just check to make sure. Assets, images, cards. Yep, perfect. And then we want that for each one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my terminal and run flutter pub get. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Now we'll close out of this, and now we should be able to access these images. So we should be able to say our asset image is equal to assets / images / cards, and we can grab any of them. So we'll say 1.jpg. Let's see if this works. We might have to restart. Okay, so nothing's happening over there. Let me do a hard refresh. Okay, and there we go. As you see, our image is now coming through as the background. So that's pretty cool. Now I just want to do a couple of extra things. So we still have this white corner error here. So for this, we can go up here to the card, and the card takes in a shape property. So here we can say rounded rectangle border, and then we can say border radius. That is equal to border radius dot circular, and this is going to be the same as down here, 10.0, and that will allow it to line up, and there we go. Now it's looking good. And then, so that's the shape. And then I also want to add a margin of edge insets dot all 10.0. Just like that. Okay, so now everything is looking pretty good. So we have our card, we have the shape, the margin, our child, which is a container, which has our box decoration with the background image. We have our padding. We have our child column with our main axis and cross axis alignment. And we have our children in this column here with a inner column wrapped in there holding the two text and the icon up top. So just to show you what it would look like, so the next step, this card is complete, right? We can format this card up and it will be good. But I want different icons and text for each one, right? So to do that, we can pass the image and the text and the icon in up here. So let's do that. Let's say string title, string spots, icon, and string image. And what these are, these names correspond to what the item is on the card. And then what we can do, we can use these. So instead of this icon here, what we can do is we can say icon is equal to icon, just like that. And this will correspond to this. So whatever icon we pass in, that's what icon will be displayed. And now let's format this up as well. So we're going to say size, we're going to give that 30.0, and we're going to give it a color of white. Okay, there we go. And we'll see that change when we fix the errors in the explore page.dart. So that's good. And then we need to do the same thing for the text. So we'll come down here, and this first text will be the title, and the second text will be the spots. Okay, just like that. And then for the image, what we can do, all the images will have the path assets / images / cards. The only difference is this right here. So what we can do is we can say /$ and then pass in the image. And notice this is just the string. So we're not actually passing in the asset image up here. You could do that, but all we're going to do is pass in the string, which will be either 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 in our case. So now that we have all this, we can go back to this one, our main.dart here. And now you'll see we have errors for each of the custom cards because it says 4 positional arguments expected, but 0 found. So we need to add those arguments. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do now is simply copy and paste the text in the icons from the template. Okay, so as you can see, I now replaced all the custom cards with their correct text and icons, and you can see it now rendered on the screen here. And all I did to get this text was I looked at the UI that we are building, that image, and I copied the text there. But this can be whatever text you want. So as you can see, passing a string here, an icon just like this, and then the image, which is just 1 through 5. So that looks pretty good. I just want to go back and change the text color from this standard black to white. So looking down here, and we can add a style, which will be a text style. And we'll just say color is equal to colors.white, and we will do that for this one as well. There we go. So that looks pretty good. And then we could fix the font size of that as well later. So now we are at the point where we need to work on the size of this. So like I said, this top one will fill up the entire width, and then these two rows here will only fill up half. So what I'm going to do is, the first one is easy, right? We're going to come up here to this custom card, and let's wrap this in a container. And this will allow us to give it a height and a width property. So we can come up here and we can say height, we'll just give this 175.0, kind of arbitrary. Whoops. There we go. So you see, as the height increases, the text and the icons, you can now see the formatting come through. Then we will give it a width of, this is where it's cool, we can say media query dot of context, which is this context here, dot size dot width. So this is full width, and as you can see, it now takes up the entire width, and the formatting is still there. So we're going to use this media query quite often in the rest of the tutorial to get the correct width and height. So before we wrap each of the other custom cards in a container and do the same thing, we need to take a look at something. If I use this query here to get the height, it's going to be incorrect because we want this height, right? But the height will give us all of this. So we need to find out how tall this navbar is up top, or this app bar is, and subtract that from the total height, and then find out how much this bottom navigation bar is, and subtract that from the total height. So luckily for us, we can do that. We can come right up here and declare some variables. So we can say final double app bar height, and this will be equal to, we can get the app bar height by saying app bar dot preferred size dot height. Okay, there we go. Then we can say final double. We can get the navbar height. We'll say 100.0, and this is the navigation bar. So this is down here, and I know it's 100 because we made that. So if we go back here, let's see. Okay, so I don't think we added this yet. Let's go ahead and add that. So what I'm going to do is this bottom navigation bar, I'm going to wrap this in a widget, and this widget will be a sized box. Now I can give it a height property of 100.0. And if you look here, there we go. It increases it just a little bit, and now we know that the height is 100. So that's where I'm getting this 100 from. Next we have this extended app bar, and we know how tall that is because we built that. So we'll say final double extended app bar height, and that is equal to 50. You don't have to add the 50.0. I'm just doing that because that's what I've always done and just normal for me. And then lastly, we want final double top card height. We need to subtract this height here. And we'll set that equal to 175.0 because that's what we gave it right here. So now we have all of these. And what we can do, we can use these to get the height of this. So let's do that. Let's go down here and we'll wrap this custom card in a container. And what we can do is we can say height, and this will be media query dot of context dot size dot height. Okay, and if we leave that, we get an error because it exceeds the number of pixels. There's a bottom overflow. So we want you to fix this. So let's wrap this in parentheses like this. Then now we can subtract all the heights. We'll subtract the app bar height. We'll subtract the Navbar height. We'll subtract the extended app bar height. And we'll subtract the top card height. Now, all of this is still overflowing because we have two cards there. So what we need to do is we need to take all of this and multiply this by 1%. So I'm going to say times 0.35. And now, there we go. So it's a little smaller. And we can do the same thing for all of them. So let's wrap you. Whoops, don't want to do that. Refactor you. Wrap you in a container. Okay, give you a height. In this, we don't want 35. We want 55 because this card's going to be a little bigger. Okay, there we go. And then do the same thing for these two. Alright, and there we go. So now this looks good. Now we just need to extend this to be the full width. So we can do that by simply going below the height and saying width, and this will be equal to media query, dot of context dot size dot width. And remember, this is the width of the entire screen, so we have to multiply this by 0.5 to get half. There we go. We'll copy and paste this for each one. Format that up, and there we go. That is looking a lot better. And as you can see, everything still works. We can navigate to the different pages, and our Explore screen is built out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember, you can find all the source code to this video and all my videos on my GitHub, which can be found in the description. If you made it this far, please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this.